just, because I think a lot of people are very interested in this. I mean, you're at the peak of your game. And I think a lot of people find it just hard to imagine somebody stepping away at the peak of their game to focus on someone else. You've been particularly focused this year on the case of Jonathan Irons. He's a young man that you've become close to. Your entire family, as I understand it, have become close to. Tell us his story.
Jonathan Irons was born in Metro St. Louis, and he grew up without his parents, very present in his life, was basically raised by his great aunt, who he calls his grandmother. And by the time he gets to middle school, early high school, tired of being poor and scared, basically gets caught up in gang life. It's unfortunately a story that happens more than we would hope. And so he's living on his own, living in the street. And when he's 16, gets picked up by the police, chased down, tackled, brought to two different jails, and interrogated without an adult, interrogated without it being recorded or notes saved, charged for a crime, an armed burglary attempt in 1997. No physical evidence, no DNA, no fingerprint, footprint evidence tying him to the scene, and he gets convicted for 50 years. He gets convicted for 50 years, and he was 16 years old. And so I learned more and more about his case through a prison ministry connection with my extended family in Jefferson City, Missouri, and that was 12 years ago. So I met Jonathan when I was 18, and as every year went by, I would just learn more and more about his case, learn more and more about his life, and my eyes were open to the reality of the huge mass incarceration problem that we have in our country. And more specifically, 3 years ago, I started to learn more about the role prosecutors play in our justice system, and how they are the most powerful actors, essentially, in our justice system, because they basically set the rules of the game, and are in charge of what charges are brought, and if minors are charged as adults, and different things like that. So I've just been on this journey of learning, having my eyes open, but it's connected to an actual person, and so it's very real to me.
A lot of people are very cynical about people who are locked up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is just a common view that people have, which is, sure, everybody says they're innocent, everybody says they got framed.
Right.
What is it about his story that struck your family members when you first got to see him? Was it that the facts seemed so outrageous, or what is it? Is it his personality? What is it?
I think it's a combination of just seeing the type of person Jonathan was, but then my goddad specifically went and investigated. He looked into Jonathan's case. He is one of the key reasons we're here today. My godfather, Reggie Williams, and he went to the police stations, looked at the file, saw things, did research, and the more and more he dug, the more and more he found that this case was out of control, and his mind was boggled of how this young man was put away with the evidence that was available, that he saw in his file. And so I think after my godfather and godmom looked into his case even more and saw how unbelievable it was, they felt compelled to stick with it and try to help.
Can you just